What's going on, everybody? My name is Monatui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys our PPL Season 1, no, not Season 1, Division 1, Season 4, Week 4 match versus Kelly, aka Under the Radar coach of the Maryland Torterrapins. If you have not done so already, please check out his channel. He uploads regularly. He's a very good guy, very good friend of mine as well, and I really appreciate him, and I really like his content, so definitely check him out. But with that being said, let's just get into the team breakdown. I have an entire team builder dedicated to my team. However, for a quick rundown, we have our max attack, max special attack, hidden power fire fortress with the Custad berry, stealth rocks, and spikes. We have 3 attacks, life orb, thunder waving, thunderous. We have our speedy, specially defensive Mew, support Mew with U-turn, Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, Roost. We have our choice scarf Terrakion. We have our physically defensive Jellicent, and we have our kind of bulky Dragon Dance Mega Altaria. Now, looking at his team, I was really surprised to not see the Mega Sizzler. Instead, he decided to actually bring Machoke, which, like I said, was definitely very surprising because I do have a number of things to take on Machoke. Like, I have Altaria, Jellicent can kind of deal with it. It doesn't necessarily want to switch in on Terrakion. Mew can deal with it, Thundurus hurts it, but he did decide to bring it, and you'll see why he decided to bring it later on. But no Mega Sizzler is great. That is a big threat to my Mega Altaria gone. I can freely set up Dragon Dances, assuming he has no Scarfers, or assuming I can get to +2 and have speed like a Scarf Nidoking or something like that. Thundurus is going to be a huge problem for him. He doesn't have good switches to Terrakion, like I 2 KO everything, or Oko everything with the coverage moves that I have. And he does not have any form of hazard removal. No Kabutops, no Mega Sizzler, no Togetic, none of that, so I will be able to get my hazards up and have them there to stay. So that is what I'm going to lead with. I am 100% leading with my Fortress, just to get up rocks, just to get up spikes. So let's get into the game. As you can see, like I said, I'm going to lead with Metal Gonad, the Fortress, as he decides to lead with his Celebi, which is a pretty good lead for me. I can go for my Stealth Rocks, as he actually decides to set up a Nasty Plot turn 1. And I wasn't too afraid of him baton passing into anything. I do have responses to anything he passes into. So as you can see here, just going to get my spikes up as he sets up another Nasty Plot. And I was getting I was a little interested in why he was doing this. I'm not entirely sure why, but at least I wasn't at the time. But here I'm going to set up spikes. I debated going for another set of spikes, but I'm just going to go for the explosion. And he whips out the Protect, and this was so dumb. Why do you have this? I'm going to go for the explosion. It's not going to work. Metal Gonad emptied its load, but unfortunately this Celebi had protection and everything is just going wrong. Oh my god, I just died of laughter when that happened. Like, that was just so funny. He called that perfectly too. I really wish I had gone for another spike, obviously, because I would have been able to get 3 layers of spikes up, plus the explosion afterwards, but my goodness, that was just hilarious. He threw that on there because he didn't need another move, and he really expected Custad lead Fortress anyway. So very good prep on his part. That was, like I said, hilarious. Here, I could have gone into Terrakion to Oko this thing, but I was pretty sure he'd have the Tango Berry. Something just told me he would probably have a Tango Berry, so I have to go out into my Thundurus, click U-turn, get some nice damage off onto this thing, break the Tango Berry, take Life Orb damage, and then I have to sack something off because absolutely nothing wants to switch into a +4 Celebi. And I realized, okay, he didn't bring any of his Rain Sweepers. Jellicent, you are completely useless. Goodbye. So he's actually going to go for the Shadow Ball here and just straight up Oko me. Not the worst thing in the world. Like I said, Jellicent was literally only there for fodder because it doesn't really do anything versus his team at this point. I have switch-ins to the Nidoking and my Mew. So here I'm going to go back out into Thundurus, and I can click U-turn once again, as he is going to hard switch out into his Raikou, which I'm very okay with. I'll be able to get some chip damage off onto this thing, which is really nice. I'll be able to go out into my Mega Altaria, get my Mega Evolution up, make sure I can resist the electric type attacks. So as you're going to see here, I'm going to go for the U-turn, deal a very decent amount of damage, going to bring him to a little bit below half, which is very nice because, like I said in my team builder, this is one of the biggest threats to my team. I don't have a ground type, so he can freely Volt Switch around, but I will be able to get my switch into Mega Altaria. And I really wish I had Earthquake at this point, because if I had Earthquake, I could have set up a Dragon Dance here and pretty much just won the game, unless he has the Scarf Nidoking. But even then, I don't think he would hard switch into Altaria with Nidoking because I could be going for the Earthquake here, which, again, I don't have, but he doesn't know that, so he doesn't want to hard switch out into that. He's going to go into Celebi. So if I did have Earthquake here, I could have just set up 2 Dragon Dances and literally swept his entire team. But because I don't have Dragon Dance, I'm going to go right for the return. maybe showcase that I don't have Dragon, or maybe bluff that I don't have Dragon Dance, even though that'd be kind of silly on a physical Altaria, but regardless, he's going to send in his Nidoking here, and I know he's going to go for the Sludge Wave, but I do have my specially defensive Mew that can switch into this thing, take the hit relatively well. So I'm going to go out into my Mew. If he's Life Orb, he will be able to do over 50% to me. If he is not Life Orb, he will not be able to 2-hit KO me. So as we're going to see here, he's going to go for the Sludge Wave, and that is not going to 2-hit KO me. So I'm really thinking that he is Choice Scarf at this point. Could be like something like Shuca Berry, but I'm really thinking he's going to be Choice Scarf to outspeed a Mega Altaria. So here he is going to switch out into his Politoed as I just decide to burn something. And as you can see here, he's going to take Rock Spikes, and he is actually not a Drizzle Toad, so this is just a water-absorbed Politoed, probably meant to take on things like Jellicent, or just because he doesn't want the rain, he will be immune to Scalds. But as you can see here, I'm going to go for the Will-O-Wisp. I will be able to burn this thing, and what I'll be able to do on the following turn to make sure he can't rest or go for Encore or do anything silly is I'm just going to go right for the Taunt onto this thing and stop him from going for what he wanted to go for, which is the Toxic, which is very nice. My Mew is not put on a timer now, I can freely do what I want. But unfortunately, I don't have a good switch in a Scald at this point, so I'm actually going to stay in, go for the Will-O-Wisp in case he switched, and because this is the best thing I have to take hits. But he actually just ends up going for the Ice Beam, so I'm actually not sure if he ended up having Scald, because as you're going to see here, he never goes for it. So Ice Beam's not going to be able to do a lot of damage to me. He does not get the Freeze, which is very, very nice. On this turn, I'm just going to go for the Roost. I don't think he's going to want to switch out and allow anything else to get burnt, so I am just going to go for that Roost. And as you're going to see, he does end up going for another Ice Beam, which, once again, will not be doing a lot of damage to me. And once again, not getting the Freeze, which is very, very nice for me. So as you're going to see, Leftovers Recovery, Mew is still at a very, very nice amount of HP. He is losing HP with the burn. His Taunt's going to wear off here, and I'm just going to go for another Taunt. Try and stop this thing from statusing me, doing whatever, as he now decides to switch in his Raikou, which I'm very, very okay with. If he is like a sub-Calm Mind Raikou, I'll be able to stop that thing from setting up Calm Minds, even though I don't think he can set up a sub from here with that amount of HP. I'll stop him from setting up Calm Minds, which is really, really nice. I'll be able to just get the Taunt off. Even if he doesn't have any non-attacking moves, I can take any hit he wants to go for and just U-turn out. So as we're going to see here, he's going to go for the Shadow Ball. It's not going to do a ton of damage to me, which is very nice because I am relatively specially defensive, and I will be able to go for the U-turn, get myself out of there, and I am not going to be able to knock him out, unfortunately, but now I will be able to go out into my Mega Altaria and scare him. Now, I'm going to go for the Dragon Dance on this turn, kind of just to force him out into Nidoking and force him to go for the Sludge Wave or the Ice Beam. Because I know I can take 2 Hidden Power Ice, I can take Shadow Balls if he's Scarfed easily. Scarf Raikou, that is. But me going for this Dragon Dance makes him want to not overpredict with his Nidoking. He's going to want to go for a Sludge Wave or an Ice Beam in order to knock me out, and I can capitalize on that by making an aggressive switch out into my Terrakion. So, as you're going to see here, he is going to take the Rocks damage, he is going to take the Spikes damage, and now I'm going to hard switch out into my Terrakion. Can't switch into Mew, it's a little bit too damaged, it will be able to get 2-hit KO'd by Sludge Wave. So like I said, just going to go out into my Terrakion, which will be able to take the Sludge Wave. It does resist, of course. It actually ends up doing a lot more than I thought it was going to do because he gets a crit, which is not the worst thing in the world. Hopefully it doesn't end up mattering, you'll see if it does. And here I'm going to go for the Close Combat. He does switch out straight out into his Machoke. I go for Close Combat because I didn't think he'd want to stay in. Even if he did, I could live another Sludge Wave because I really thought he was Scarf, and him switching out kind of confirms that, not necessarily, but I thought he might be. He's going to go Machoke. I'm not sure if Close Combat is a 2-hit KO from that range with the Spikes up, and I don't want to take a Bullet Punch anyway, so I'm going to switch out into my Mew, which I think he can't touch, but he actually pulls out the Toxic, which is very good prep on his part, because not only does he put my Mew on a timer, but this will be synchronized back onto him, and he is actually a Guts Machoke. So, like I said, very, very good prep on his part. That was very, very well done. And here, there's really not too much else I can do to this thing. My only attacking move is U-turn. I obviously can't burn him with him being poisoned. So instead, I'm just going to U-turn out into my Mega Altaria. So as you can see here, just going to go for that U-turn. Get a tiny bit of damage off onto him, and I'm going to go into Mega Altaria, predicting him to want to go for a knockoff. Which is exactly what he's going to end up going for, which is really nice because I can take this hit very well. As you're going to see, he's going to go for knockoff, and Mega Altaria just eats that for days. which is great because now his Machoke is getting continuously worn down. I'll be able to boost up my Mega Altaria. If he Toxics me, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm probably not going to be able to Dragon Dance sweep with this Altaria, because if I get up 1, essentially, I would need 2 Dragon Dances. At least I thought I would need 2 Dragon Dances in order to outspeed the Nidoking. Plus, I need 2 Dragon Dances up to even kill the Nidoking with Return, since, like I said, I don't have Earthquake. So, I was thinking I needed to get up to 2 Dragon Dances in order to win, and I didn't see myself getting up to 2. He would be able to get some damage off on me with his Machoke. If he had Ice Punch or something like that, he would be able to go out into Scarf Nidoking and then Revenge Kill me with Sludge Wave. As it turned out, my Altaria actually outsped his Nidoking at +1, but I didn't know that. If he were timid, or he were modest with a lot of speed, he would have been able to outspeed me. Here, he actually misclicks and goes out into Politoed, which was kind of odd. Well, I mean, not necessarily odd, like he misclicked and that was, you know, an oops. But it doesn't end up mattering in the late game. I think he meant to go out into Torn and hit me with a Sludge Wave. I'm not sure if Sludge Wave would have killed. Actually, it probably would have, because as we're going to see here, he is going to send out his Tornadus. He is going to go for the Sludge Wave, and he is going to be able to knock me out, and he is going to reveal the Life Orb after my Mega Altaria is going to go down. So Mega Altaria is going to go down. He does reveal the Life Orb, so I'm pretty sure Sludge Wave would knock me out from there. I'm not 100% sure, but again, I don't think the Politoed misclick mattered too much. Here, my best play is clicking Psychic. My electric move is Thunder, I don't want to risk missing that, and Psychic will put him in range of close combat 100%, and that means that Terrakion will be able to get a kill. I'm gonna go for the Psychic, and then my best play here, because I know he's not gonna switch out, is just to go for the Thunder Wave. So I can slow this thing down, guarantee that my Mew can outspeed it, not that it'll do a ton, but I can get off a fast U-turn rather than a slow one, which I guess doesn't really help me that much, but also for the chance of the full para, which is exactly what happened, which is really nice, because now I'll be able to knock out this Tornadus with my Thundurus. I'm going to survive the Life Orb recoil, and if his Nidoking is not Scarfed, if he was bluffing the Scarf the whole time, then I will be able to knock out this Nidoking with a Psychic on the following turn as well, assuming he also does not have Sucker Punch. But as you're going to see here, he's going to take the Hazards damage, and he is going to outspeed and go for the Scarf Shadow Ball and knock out my Thundurus. But this is totally okay, because I do have my Choice Scarf Terrakion in the back. Even if I wasn't Scarfed, I would have been able to live a Shadow Ball, but because I am Scarfed, I will be able to outspeed this Nidoking. Don't have to risk the crit knocking me out or anything like that. I can just go for the Earthquake, knock out the Nidoking, and that is going to be a good game to Kelly under the radar of the Maryland Torterrapins. So that was a very, very good game to Kelly. Definitely a fun one to be played, especially in the very beginning. The Protect on my Explosion, I absolutely did not see coming, especially after I saw Nasty Plot. I was thinking maybe a Baton Pass variant, maybe he was just going to be an offensive variant, I'm not entirely sure, but the Protect was just hilarious. As soon as that happened, I was like, oh no, and then I just started laughing, because that was just so funny. But after that, I think I played very well. I knew he would probably be Tangleberry, so I went out into my Thundurus just to click U-turn, break that Tangleberry, and then sack off Jellicent, which wasn't really doing anything this game. Like, it doesn't beat Celebi, doesn't beat Raikou, didn't beat his Machoke because he was a Toxic variant. It doesn't necessarily beat Torn. The only thing it really beat on his team was Nidoking, and like I said, I did have Mew to switch into that thing, and I did have Terrakion to aggressively switch into it, predicting anything other than a Nerf power. Definitely big MVP of this game, definitely the Mega Altaria. It got many kills this game. I think it got 4 kills this game. It killed the Politoed, it killed the Raikou, killed the Machoke, I believe. It did not kill the Tornadus, but it did a really good job this game. Mew was also very important. Pretty much everything on my team served a purpose this game, which is really, really nice. Bar, of course, the Jellicent, which ended up just switching in and dying immediately because I didn't need it. Like, he didn't bring any of his Rain Sweepers, so I didn't feel like I needed Jellicent this game, and I was correct because we were able to pull out a victory without it. I don't think the misclick and the full paralysis at the end mattered. Maybe the misclick, just because he would have had an extra sack, and maybe he would have been able to get enough Regenerator on his Torn to maybe live a close combat from Terrakion if I locked myself into that, but I don't really think so. It was Life Orb, so I could have played around it a little bit. I had my Mew to sack off. It would have taken 2 hits to knock that thing out. So he would have had to take 20% to Life Orb, and then it would have been very tough for him to pull out a victory. Plus, if I had to lock myself in a Stone Edge, there's the... he would have had to dodge a couple Stone Edges. which is very possible, as we've seen from previous weeks, but not necessarily likely. Like, I have a better chance to hit than I do to miss, of course. And the full paralysis on Thunderous I don't think ended up mattering either, because if he U-turned out, he would have U-turned, gotten a little bit of Life Orb damage. He still would have been in range of close combat. So when it was Nidoking versus Thunderous, at that point I could have just sacked off my Thunderous there, gone out into my Terrakion, then I would have been able to click Earthquake. If he goes into Torn, I would have gone out into my Mew, taken some Life Orb damage, and at that range of HP that the Nidoking was at, if it took one more Rock Switch in plus Spikes, it would have been in range of close combat anyway, so I would have been able to knock it out, and then knock out the Torn with close combat at the amount of HP that they were both at. If he did go for the Sludge Wave, or if he did go for like the Psychic or Sludge Wave to knock out my Thunderous at that point, I would have been able to go out into, or I would have gone into my Terrakion and just clicked close combat and killed something. Like, suppose I did sack off my Thunderous to his Tornadus on the turn that I paralyzed it, I would have been able to go out into Terrakion, definitely kill it with close combat, so I would have clicked close combat, would have either 2-KO'd the Nidoking or knocked out the Tornadus. And then if he did not sack his Tornadus, I would have been able to switch out into Mew, sack it off, go back into Terrakion, click Earthquake, win for a 1-0 victory. Or if he did just switch out into his Nidoking, I 2-KO that thing, and then I go out into my Mew, sack it to 2 hits, it takes 2 Life Orb hits, and then knock it out with close combat, not wanting to risk Stone Edge. So either way, it definitely mattered in differential then. Like, it would have been a 1-0 instead of a 2-0, but again, nothing I can really do about that. That is what paralysis does. That is the biggest, not necessarily the biggest reason, but that is a very big reason people, including myself, run T-Wave on things, because it has that chance to full para, and T-Wave, it just can win games on its own. Not that this necessarily won me the game, but it definitely won me an extra differential point, and that's that. So thank you guys very much for watching. This was a very good game. Definitely check out Kelly Under the Radar in the description below, and I hope you're looking forward to next week. We are going up against Jack the Don Fanatic. So once again, hope you're looking forward to that, and I will see you next time.